Hello everyone, and welcome back to a much snowier homestead than you saw in the last video. At this point, unless you've been living under a rock, you probably saw that some snow rolled through the eastern half of the United States this last week.
After 9 million people in the New England area are under winter storm warnings.
Overnight, a massive winter storm bringing wind, snow, and ice hitting the Northeast.
Take a live look at 202. You can see not a lot of traffic, a lot of people heeding the advice, staying home.
Conditions no match for cars and pedestrians.
And while it's made for quite a festive environment, it brought a good deal of stress to the homestead. You see, here in New England, we are no strangers to snow. We get a lot of snow. And living up north as a ski bum in the past, it's not anything new to me. But normally, we don't get the kind of snow that we got this past weekend. It really kind of threw everything for a loop. You see, the snow we got was super heavy, wet snow. We got about 13 inches of it, and then it decided to just get super wet on top. It never actually switched to rain, but we got like 10 inches of just super heavy wet snow, and then like another 3 inches on top of that, which pressed everything else down and compacted it all to about 8 inches, which is now frozen, solid. But that snow stuck to everything it touched. Trees, pig shelters, wires. We were without power. Friday night we lost power, and we were without power until about Sunday afternoon, so almost 48 hours with no power on the homestead. I didn't really film anything during the storm. I got the generator running because we just brought those pigs back from the processor, which was awesome. We were able to get some of the stuff in the freezer, our own stuff, and then everyone else came and picked up their own stuff, so we didn't have to fill our freezers with other people's meat, which was awesome. That storm though, because of how heavy and how much snow there was, and now kind of some of the damages it did, has effectively ended our farming for the year. You can see behind me here, there's a couple branches that have come down off these trees up here. Let me take you over here. We lost the top of another maple that a piece of it fell off in a video earlier this year, which I'll link up in the corner. This maple right here, this piece, like I said, it broke earlier this summer up one of the other leaders, which is the main kind of trunk. There's multiple trunks, but another trunk about the same size as this one broke off earlier this year, and it's kind of leading me to believe that maybe this tree is a little diseased, maybe it needs to come out. I don't have a problem with that. It's going to be great firewood for next year. I may even lay it down now, let it start drying out, so that come springtime it doesn't soak up a bunch of water and get wet again, and it might be ready to burn for next year. But it's a good thing that this came down now and it held on, because had it fallen down 3 weeks ago even, the turkeys would have been in this area. It could have hurt or killed them, or at the very least, I mean, it could have knocked their fence down and they could have escaped. So happy that this came down when it did. The biggest issue with this heavy wet snow though, and the fact that it's now frozen up, is that it's kind of halted a lot of things on the farm that I wanted to do after the pigs went to processing. You can see behind me here, these two shelters are still up, and actually I can take these down probably, but at this point I might as well just leave them because I can't really get the tractor in here. It would be hard to get this stuff out of here though. This I'm not so worried about. What I'm more bummed about is the shelter out in the field, the hog panel shelter. Some deer tracks. Look at this mess. I was thinking and hoping that this, with the tarp on it and the hoop, was going to shed the snow. Unfortunately, the snow was so wet and sticky, and like I mentioned, it was sticking to everything. This thing didn't stand a chance. It made it through the first half of the storm during the daytime. We saw, I think it was Friday during the day, we looked at it and we said, oh, it's actually doing really well. It's standing up tall. It's not really collecting a lot of snow on top. And then we woke up Saturday morning and looked at it, and it was down. And now it's totally frozen in. Here's my hope though. So the cattle panels are bent. This over here is not too bad. It's kind of like just a gentle sloping up, kind of the same we had them over top before. This bend right here down this way is pretty sharp. I'm betting when I pull all this out, I'll be able to straighten these cattle panels out and we can use them again for something else. That's my hope. But the issue now is it gonna thaw sometime this winter, or are they cemented in here until spring? Another problem that we're running into right now, and this all kind of stems from the fact that the pigs took so long to get to butcher, is that I was hoping to drag this whole pasture, because the pigs, obviously they rooted it up, they dug some holes in some spots. I wanted to drag this all flat. I wasn't gonna seed it, but I was gonna drag it flat with the tractor before we got a heavy coating of snow on it and the ground froze for the year. If the pigs had gone November 5th, that was a completely possible and doable thing. We didn't get this snow and the ground didn't really freeze until now, this past weekend. And it's December, it was December 18th and 19th this weekend? No, what weekend was it? Let's check the calendar, because Jack doesn't know what days of the week it is. 17th and 18th. The 17th and 18th this weekend was like our first meaningful snow and the first really cold weather that kind of took the ground and started freezing it up. Had the pigs not been delayed so long, this could have gotten done. I could have had this flat ready to go for seed in the springtime. I've got the seed lined up in the garage already. Literally all I would have had to do was come out, lay the seed down, drag it once over just to kind of put a coating over the top, and we would have had pasture by the fall. Similarly, in my mind was to take the enclosure that's up there with the pig waterer and the 2 shelters, and I was gonna move them over there to the other side of the driveway, which the plan was that's where the piglets were gonna go next spring, and then that side was what they were gonna work next summer, so that the following fall we could have pasture over there. Now all these T-posts and plastic step-in fence posts, they are all frozen into the ground under like 8 or 9 inches of frozen snow. There's no way I'm getting them out. So I can either, well no, that doesn't even make sense to do that. I was gonna say I can either buy new ones, but I can't, because I can't install those fence posts over there. I can have them ready to go for spring. By the time the ground thaws and the snow's melted, and I can get step-in posts in, I'll be able to pull these up over here. It's all cyclical. I had all these things I was gonna do that I wanted to get done before the ground froze and the first snow hit, but it all kind of relied on the pigs going to be processed, and that never happened. I wonder what this deer found right here. That's actually, that's not deer. This was a coyote or a fox that must have come in and dug this up. They must have been light-footed because they didn't sink into the snow. That is wood chips from the back of the trailer when we slaughtered the pigs. Those are bloody wood chips. So that's what that is. That's coyote or fox or something was digging there looking for that. The driveway is it's a little bit icy right now. Again, the snow was so wet, all the moisture ran off the side here and kind of funneled right down the driveway. So I guess with a flick of the switch, we've gone from fall mode, getting ready for winter and getting ready to, you know, close up shop on animals for the year, to now in the matter of a week, we've gone to no animals in full-on winter mode. Normally you have at least a couple weeks in between that transition, but now we didn't this year, and stuff's not getting done that I really would have wanted to. Doesn't mean that there's nothing to do. I've got some stuff lined up for tonight. I've got to brine a fresh ham. I've got to edit this video. I've got a bunch of grind from the Thanksgiving turkeys that I froze. It was just a bunch of trim stuff from the carcasses. And I'm actually going to grind it up and make some turkey sausage out of that. There's never really a time on our homestead where things go into like full-on hibernation mode. I feel like that's kind of a difference between homesteading and farming is, you know, while I say we're a small farm, we have elements of homesteading thrown into the whole mix. And what that means for us is that where a normal farm could kind of, you know, take a break during the winter and, you know, your fields are fallow and you may not have any animals on site. For us, because such a big part of our farming is also growing our own food, during this time of year when we don't have animals, the tasks to preserve that food and turn that food into things we want to eat, that doesn't slow down. So in a lot of regards where I kind of view in the summertime, your farming activities are way more labor intensive than just a standard homesteading activity would be. You know, homesteading, you know, if you raise 1 or 2 pigs, if you raise, you know, maybe 50 chickens for the year, you know, 5 or 6 turkeys for yourself, that's a relatively easy task to accomplish. But on the farming side of it, you know, we're raising 10 pigs, we're raising 200 broilers, we're raising 30 turkeys. The farming during the summertime is a lot more work intensive than the homesteading aspect of it. But when we shift into this winter mode where all of the animals have been processed, it's really just the layers and the ducks out back that we have to take care of. There's no gardening going on. Now you shift into this mode where you're preserving what you've got. You're taking, you know, the raw cuts of those animals that you process that you may have frozen, and you're making your sausage for the year. You're making any charcuterie that you want to make for the year. You're curing hams, you're curing bacon. You know, if the weather permits, you're breaking down those shelters, you're moving fences. You know, your homesteading in the winter doesn't stop, which I think is a myth that a lot of people fall into, is they think, oh, in the wintertime it'll slow down, and it does a little bit more, but you're still doing things like we're hosting Christmas this year, and part of that is a whole fresh ham from one of our hogs. That's not only cooking the day of that I have to do, but there's prep involved into that because I want to do the animal that we raised justice, and when I put it on the table, I want it to be kind of like a wow factor, and, you know, have people say, oh, you raised this is so good. So that's where we're at now. It's starting to get dark. I got home from work at like 3:30 and I started filming this. So we're starting to run out of daylight pretty quickly. I just wanted to touch on here because I know I didn't do a video last Saturday. You know, life, it's holiday season. I'm trying to do this, guys. But again, I was so busy messing with the generator out here to get the thing running, which I did eventually. Turns out if you don't turn the gas onto it. Let me tell the story about the generator. Funny story about the generator. We've had this generator. My parents bought it in 1997 for the blizzard of 97 down in New Jersey where I was living. And they gave it to us when we bought the house in 2016. So that makes the generator 25 years old. It's an awesome generator. It's a Coleman. It's got a Subaru or Fuji Heavy Industries engine in it. Runs awesome. Apparently though, the last time I used it, I didn't turn the gas off. I did put stabilizer in the fuel. I always do. But I didn't turn the fuel off. So when I pulled it out this year, or now to start it, and I turned the fuel on, I was actually turning the fuel off. And I spent close to 3 hours trying to troubleshoot this generator, figure out why it wouldn't start. And in the third hour, when I was so frustrated, I was just going over everything. I thought maybe the fuel switch itself was broken, the petcock. I looked at it and I saw that it was in the off position, turned it on, and it fired right up. So so that's the kind of Saturday it was for me. That's where my mind was trying to figure out how to get this generator started, when in reality it was ready to go the whole time. It was just my own stupidity on it. Thanks for watching, everybody. If I don't talk to you before the holidays, I hope everybody has a very Merry Christmas and a Happy Hanukkah. There may be a small little surprise video on Saturday. I've got to see if I can rope Jackie and Emma into filming something. But otherwise, as always, I thank you guys for watching, and I hope you're having a great day. Bye.